Watch Big Jake yet?
I haven't watched Big Jake. I just got done watching Chisholm. I picked up on DVD a couple of weeks ago. I watched the Chisholm movie has the director a commentary, which blew me away that the director was still alive for that DVD release. I thought he would be long gone, quite frankly. But maybe they pull that commentary off of something else from years earlier. But that commentary was absolutely fantastic. I was like, wow. I mean, I learned a lot. But I haven't got to watch Big Jake yet, and I still got McClintock as well. It's in there. So yeah, I've definitely been doing my Western kick, and then I did watch, and I have a review I filmed recently. Last Train to Gun Hill with Michael Douglas and Anthony Quinn. Man, that movie was awesome. Never heard of it. Yeah. Have you all ever seen that?
Oh yeah, it's a great movie. It's one of the best movies from the 50s westerns.
Yeah, I even talk about it in my comment or in my review. Yeah. My dad's a huge Western guy. He grew up with them. He was born in 1954. That movie came out in 1959. So I asked him, I'm like, have you ever heard of this movie? He goes, no, I didn't even know it existed. So, I mean, that just tells me that apparently that movie kind of had been under the radar for a lot of people. Because I feel like I'm pretty up on a lot of those old school Westerns that have some of the bigger name stars. But man, that was a great one. So, yeah,
they made so many.
Yeah.
They made so many Westerns. And it's just, there's so many great Westerns. People don't like Westerns. It don't matter if you don't like them or not. There's things I don't like. If you don't like them or not, it's fine. But you're missing so much in cinema, especially if you want to be a student of cinema. There's so much to be learned in Westerns.
Yeah. Well, I like Westerns. I liked them. I had like maybe 2 handfuls of Western movies I loved, like The Searchers and Red River and yada, yada, yada. But then as I've gotten older, I've really have dug in and have really fallen in love with Westerns and stuff. And, right now I'm digging through the mass amount of spaghetti Westerns that's out there. There's so many different ones. They're all by separate. One movie might have 3 titles to it. It's been released on video 3 times with different titles. And you just got to do all this research work and find good prints and stuff like that. So that I'm kind of exploring that now with my channel, if I can just get some stuff out. And I'm kind of behind on filming. So
let me ask you, Mike, and I'll ask John this too, but I'll start with you. Aside from, I know a lot of people know Clint Eastwood from the spaghetti Western that he did, but taking him out of the equation, who's one of the actors that you really gravitate towards that did the spaghetti Westerns over the years? Because I think, like you said, there's a whole lot of movies out there, a lot of directors, a lot of actors show up. A lot of them were doing a lot of the same movies for quite a while. That were, I mean, when I say same spaghetti Westerns, there's a lot of different stuff out there. The 2 names that come off the top of my head, and then you all can educate me on this, is Lee Van Cleef and Franco Nero are the 2 names I think of a lot. But outside of those guys, I mean, there's some other people that you really like in those, or those guys themselves?
Are you talking about American actors that went over there?
It could be anybody. It could be anybody.
Yeah. No. Probably Lee Van Cleef, because I mean, he's really good. Yeah, he's really good in the 50s and 40s, late 40s and 60s. He wasn't very popular in Hollywood. He always played like one of the henchmen of the bad guy or something. He always made his mark a little bit, but people remembered his face. But then he went over to Italy in the mid 60s and did, Fistful. Well, no, he did For a Few Dollars More, the second in that trilogy, and it just raised him to where he was one of the most famous stars in Italy at the time, and he was more popular there and stuff. So, yeah, him, and then there's some other.
Charles Bronson was in some, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Charles Bronson was in some.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, he was in a couple of. Yeah, he was in Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah,
and so he did pretty good over there. Somebody named was it Henry Silva? He did pretty good, but But yeah, you probably remember him in the 80s and 90s. He was in all kinds of like crime movies and stuff that we grew up on and stuff. You'd recognize him, but he made a big splash over in Italy, But yeah, I don't know, man. I know you brought up Lee Van Cleef, but I don't know. That's who I'm mainly thinking of because he's really famous for going over there and becoming a huge star,
Yeah, because when I was growing up, and I'm sure probably similar for you all, because my dad really wasn't a big spaghetti western fan. He liked the old school westerns and John Wayne type stuff. But my first introduction to Lee Van Cleef was Escape from New York.
Oh yeah.
So, that's how I knew him. So as I went on through my years, I had to be reintroduced to him from his, spaghetti western days because, that really wasn't on a rotation in my household. Because, like I said, my dad, maybe aside from like the good, bad, and the ugly, he wasn't really big into all those spaghetti westerns. But like you said, he really kind of became the Lee Van Cleef we know today because of those movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it brought more attention to him, and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good movies like that.
My memory's bad. I've seen a bunch, but I can't ever remember all their names. There's probably some that I'm giving major disrespect not mentioning, but I'm trying to think right off the bat.
No, sometimes they were under different names. Like sometimes like Italian directors would try to have like made up American names just so they would, it would look better when they distributed the film in America because it's like, oh, this is directed by John Smith. When his name is really,
Indeed. So I know we kind of talked off camera a little bit, and I mean we're gonna kind of just cut through and just talk about film. But I thought you had a good idea, Mike, last week, and we kind of maybe showcase a couple of films that we've been picking up and just kind of talk about them. Oh, there you go, Spaghetti Western right there. Yeah.
Oh, I just got that set. I just got that
set awesome,
last 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's got some pretty rough cuts, but it's
pretty rough. But some of them are okay.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those box sets. Like whenever, like a lot of the Grindhouse movies are like that, they'll throw a bunch of them into just a big box set. Spaghetti Western, like you said, a lot of the old 50s and 60s horror. I mean, like you said, sometimes it gets kind of rough, but I do enjoy those because you usually can pick them up on the cheap. And then if you find a couple gems in there, then you can just track down those individually if you do want a better cut, So I think it's kind of it's a cheap way to be introduced to a lot of different stuff that you're not going to get bogged down on price wise and regret.
Yeah, I had a thought on spaghetti westerns here. Another one about the way the spaghetti western kind of looked to me is the way the West probably was. It's dirty and gritty. And that's what I like about Sam Peckinpah's movies. I felt like Sam Peckinpah was almost trying to make spaghetti westerns in American cinema because all of his westerns are like, they're all real gritty. For the most part, they're all pretty like dirty and gritty, like,
because that's how it really
the Wild
was,
Bunch
man.
And stuff like that. Yeah. And when you watch Peckinpah, you feel, or some spaghetti westerns, you feel like you're there. You feel like, he's like, man, those guys probably stink. They don't bathe in weeks. That's when you see it. They look like they've been rolling around in the dirt for 3 weeks. That's
very dusty, dirty. Streets are dirty. Everything. Yeah, it's just realistic. Yeah. Plus, they were bloodier. Somebody got shot. They really, they showed it. Some of it was so over the top hilarious. But but a lot of it was realistic. You could really believe it.
Let me ask you all this: like, is there I know that modern day American cinema has been kind of going back and revisiting the classic American Western and kind of updating it a bit. Making it a little bit more in vogue or whatnot. You'll see some movies now being made with that. And they're hit and misses just like anything else. But, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think there's been any kind of look back in modern cinema at the spaghetti western, like a kind of a revisiting of it. Like I haven't seen any any movie or any studio kind of going back and trying to recapture a little bit of that. You can think of in the last 20 years, there's been quite a few good westerns made. I think quite a few pretty good westerns made.
Tomahawk's like really far up there for me as far as
that's what I was thinking. Bone Tomahawk. I like Open Range a lot. I really like that.
Yeah.
I had that was probably like 2004 or 5, I guess, or whatever. But there's a handful that out there. I liked 310 to Yuma. There's a few remakes of that.
That one's good.
I like Seraphine Falls. So there's a handful out there that they made in the last 20 years.
Appaloosa's all right.
Which one?
Appaloosa.
Yeah, I just saw that recently.
Yeah.
Another one was the assassination of Billy the Kid by the coward.
Jesse James. The assassination of Jesse James by that coward by the house.
Yeah, Robert S. Ford. It's got what's his face in it?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. And like I said, those are like the movies. I mean, off the top of our heads, we're kind of coming up with a lot of these. But I mean, and they're all good ones. But
did you guys ever see Wild Bill, the dude, freaking Jeff Bridges, Wild Bill? Did you ever see that movie, Wild Bill Hickok?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. What did you guys think about? You were talking about watching some John Wayne videos recently, Jason. Well, a few years ago, Jeff Bridges did the remake of what was it?
True Grit.
True Grit. Yeah. I mean, what did you think? I mean, if you had ever seen both movies, and just I know they're different characterizations, but they're both.
I liked it. I mean,
good.
I thought it was really good. I felt like him and Matt Damon did an excellent job. The young girl in it, Haley something or another, I can't remember.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld, right? Yes, thank you. So I mean, I thought overall the movie was really good. I didn't feel like it took away from. We all know we're all cinephiles, so there's plenty of remakes or reimaginings that are just absolute atrocities that were just cashing in on the name of the prior movie. But I felt like True Grit was not that way. I felt like they handled it really well. What about you guys? Have you seen it?
Yeah. The Coen brothers wrote it and directed it. The Coen brothers. So right then I was like, okay, I'm going to trust them in this because they're great writers and directors. They do their thing. So I was totally interested in what. I remember going to the movies and watching it, and it really was a nice, good, big screen epic to see on screen and stuff. So it was really cool, So,
I think sometimes the further we get away from some of the things that made cinema great, we'll see more of that movies being made again by people. And I think that stuff like the True Grit and like the Bone Tomahawk, we'll go back and revisit some of those, subject matter, some of those type of, the old American West or whatnot, and hopefully we'll benefit from that, and not everyone's a home run. We all know that, but I think that's kind of cool because sometimes those things go in cycles, and maybe we'll continue to get some more stuff. Because like you said, I saw True Grit in the theater. It's one of the very few westerns that were released in the theater, and I thought it was a great experience. I mean, I kind of felt like the same way when I watched The Hateful Eight. When I saw that, I mean, they kind of had that Western feel. That's probably the closest we had to a spaghetti Western. If you think about it, kind of the way it was shot and the way it was.
Yeah. And,
Django Unchained. Yeah. Also had that feel that had that Western feel to it. So
he was an obvious Corbucci fan because obviously by watching Once Upon a Time, but
right,
he references him, but.
Yeah, he references them a lot, and the funny thing is, that was kind of what I was getting at with you, John and Mike. I was like, I'm not very overtly versed in spaghetti westerns. So when he kept talking about Corbucci in Once Upon a Time, I was like, is this a real guy or is this a guy that he created for this movie? Because he sometimes does stuff like that. And then I went back and looked it up and like, no, this is a real guy. And I'm like, man, I need to go and watch some of this guy's stuff because apparently he's pretty influential in Tarantino. I'm a huge Tarantino mark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was one of the I think one of the big three Sergios. You know, Sergio Leone, Corbucci, and then the other one. I think it starts with an S or a G. I always forget his name, but they were like the big three Sergios. There's a funny story. There's a movie Sergio Corbucci made called Navajo Joe, and it starred Burt Reynolds. And
I've been thinking the same thing.
That same story, yeah. And Burt Reynolds thought, well, oh wow, Sergio Leone wants me to come over to Italy and make a movie. Wow, I can't wait. Sign me up. What he didn't know was it was Corbucci that wanted him over there. So once he got over there and he found all this stuff out, and then he found out that it wasn't Sergio Leone, and then he was just disappointed. And he hated his performance for years. And he said the only place that should be shown is in prison and in on airplanes, two places where people can't leave the theater at. And stuff. And really, that movie's great, man. I've watched it. Like, it's streaming. It's not bad at all whatsoever.
Well, that's good. That's where Tarantino. Well, what I was thinking about wasn't that story so much, but it was where he steals that soundbite. He steals that movie. He got the one part of in Kill Bill where it goes wah 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 wah. You know, before some action happens with the main character. You know.
Yeah, I didn't realize he did that so much, and I started getting the soundtracks out, and it's like, you know, it's just Morricone's all over it and stuff because he did a lot of spaghetti westerns, and I
just think like I don't know if it was you, Mike, or John, and I watched somebody else. Like I said, when I watch people's videos, sometimes it all kind of runs together. I'm sure we all get into that situation. If you watch a handful of people regularly, you starting to forget who says what. But maybe it was Heath from Cinema. Was it Serial Midnight? But it's amazing like how Quentin Tarantino and that kind of generation, there's a handful of guys, the auteurs that came out, that how much Tarantino had stolen, borrowed, whatever you want to call it, from cinema from the 60s and 70s. And it really is an introduction to a lot of people like myself who want to continue to get deeper into the cinema from that time. And like you said, those connections, like you don't even know you're watching maybe some of these sound bites or these these directors or photography or this certain type of film scores or whatever. But then you go back and watch these movies and you're like, hold on, wait. Well, that movie came out in 1964, this one, or 72, but now he's doing this movie in 1995, like obviously, or 2002. He obviously grabbed that from there, and it's kind of cool to make those connections.
Well, there's, I was going to say there's something like a lot of times people, instead of saying they stole it, they're actually smugglers. They like being, no, for real, it's an actual term, like auteurs and stuff like that. I'm really glad he did borrow that stuff because I've learned a lot, little pieces from Tarantino that's like took me on a whole venture of learning all kinds of stuff that I've fallen in love with just from that little piece of something there that I never would have heard of otherwise and stuff. So I'm really thankful that he's took those little pieces and stuff. I think he does it out of love, really. It's not like, hey, can I get away with this if I steal it? It's not.
His stories are original. His stories are original. He's not like completely ripping off and remaking and rebooting stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes he will take a whole title, but he makes a whole different movie out of it.
Right. I mean, he obviously he cares about it because he has his own. He has the New Beverly. He owns the films. He's showing them. He's introduced them to people who obviously would never know or ever see a lot of the stuff that he cares about. So we all know that no one has to convince anyone that he's actually a fan of what he's doing. But it's just the fact that a lot of it's like film preservation or just filming, just not acknowledgement of like there is a whole world of stuff that you might not ever know about. It's just it's crazy. Hey, what's up, Bob? Thanks for popping in. What I was going to tell you all, and it's something that I didn't even think about, but we kind of hit. If you watch his most recent movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I never really thought of it, but then I don't know if I saw this or heard that somebody else mention it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so true. The scene where DiCaprio uses the flamethrower.
Oh yeah,
It's like
I was just thinking that.
It's right out of The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Where he he just does that, and I'm like, that is so true. Like it's just little things like that, that it is, and you can watch that movie. You can watch Once Upon a Time and not ever even get that reference. Like it doesn't help you or hurt you in that film.
Yeah.
But I was like, that exact same setup is in John Carpenter's The Thing, and he just does the exact same setup. I'm like, man, that is such a great little homage. So
yeah.
I can tie The Thing to another Western legend. Do you know? Have you seen the original The Thing?
Yeah.
Have you seen the original The Thing?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember who plays The Thing in the original?
That was James Arness.
James Arness. Yes. Yep.
Matt Dillon, maybe.
No. Yeah,
I think
man.
so. Cool. I think it's James Arness.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is cool.
Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry, cut you off.
No. So, did anybody want to show off one of their films first and kind of talk a little bit about it, and we'll just kind of,
before we get started, everybody, I apologize. I'm not sick. I have diabetes and I have diabetic retinopathy, and I have to have injections once a month in my eyes, so my eyes are sore. That's why I keep batting my eyes with the wash rag.
Yeah, no, that's understandable, man. They just told me this week while I was in the hospital that I have pre-diabetes, so I've been trying to cut back on certain things, just trying to jump ahead of myself so I don't go into insulin and all that stuff. So it's totally under.
Well, I'm on dialysis and everything. It's all cause all that stuff. So yeah, but I've been doing, ever since I found out I was diabetic, I did good. But I don't want to go down that road. But it's not a big deal. But I don't get down about it. It's just bad genetics.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go first. Is that okay?
All right, go ahead, Mike. Let's set it up, dude.
Okay. Now, this was a movie I grew up on watching. Even when I was a kid, this movie was really bizarre. And I believe I haven't watched it. I just got this recently because I got the 4K version of Wizard of Oz because people are saying it's one of the best 4Ks to get and everything. So it's got the Blu-ray with it. But there was a movie made in 1981 called Under the Rainbow, and it has Chevy Chase, Carrie Fisher is in it, and people like that. This is a DVD from Warner Archive, and it's basically about the stuff that goes on behind the scenes while they were filming The Wizard of Oz with the little people, like just partying and stuff in the hotels and just debauchery and all this stuff. And some of it is, they say some of it is true. Some of it's been totally blown out of proportion over the years, but it's just so odd. It's just an oddball movie and stuff. So I thought I'd pick it up again to see it just because it's a movie about movies. I kind of like those movies, where they, movies filming themselves basically. So I just thought I'd pick that up, and I wonder how it's aged because I remember seeing it on HBO all the time when I was, a little kid and stuff in the 80s. So yeah, I
don't own that. I need to though. It's good.
I need to check that out. I didn't even know it existed. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, Amazon has it for like $8 or $9, so I thought I'd pick it up. It's not too bad. So that
was a Warner Brothers Archives or Warner Archives?
Yeah, Warner Archive. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, a little known fact about me when I was in middle school and high school, I was big into theater, and our theater director somehow knew. I don't know if they knew them personally or they knew somebody who knew somebody, but they were friends with a couple of the original Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz, and they would come to our school and be in our Wizard of Oz play or like do some sort of like pre-show, and it was like a huge deal because of course in the 90s they were probably like in their 70s or something at the time. But I'll never forget they would come up and do like a little like Q&A or just like open the production, and it was like a big deal that these like Hollywood the people from the Wizard of Oz would pop into our theater to kind of like sell our theater program to the public. So I remember that's pretty cool though. I gotta check that out. It's called Under the Rainbow.
Under the Rainbow. Instead of over the rainbow, it's under the rainbow.
You must not have watched my you must not have watched my video of the day, my complete video, because you probably wouldn't have liked my review of Guys and Dolls.
No, that's fine. No, that's totally fine.
You watched my bathroom review?
Yeah, I used to sit under the toilet. I remember. Yeah, I saw that.
I kind of give Guys and Dolls under the bridge. Again, I didn't care much for it.
Under the house.
I never had watched it before.
So what about you?
I've never seen it either.
I'm a huge musical fan. I like the old 50s and 60s musicals, but I totally get where people don't like them. I understand it. I totally 100% get it, but I don't know. It's just old Hollywood, and I just like theater. I always enjoyed it, so it's one of those things I do have a passion for. But there's very few people I know who really into it, so I get it.
It had all the right components to be good, but it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah,
sure.
I like the early Warner Brothers movies from the 30s, the early the 30s movies. Some of those are pretty. They just got some songs that are memorable, short and sweet songs. They're not these big, But I'm not really a big musical fan, actually.
Sure.
But.
Yeah. No. What about you? What about you, John? Do you have a film you want to show that you picked up over the last week or two?
Yeah, as far as I haven't watched a whole lot because I've been alphabetizing my Blu-ray collection at night, and then I've had a bunch of doctor's appointments. But I got it done. But just my regular Blu-rays, not my niche collection. Not my boutique stuff. But the first one I watched is actually a new movie I hadn't seen yet. It's a Clint Eastwood movie. I'm sorry. It's that new movie that came out, Richard Jewell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see that yet. I think it was on HBO Max, I think. Might be able to try to catch that there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What do you think about it?
It's about the Atlanta bombing, and Richard Jewell is basically I remember him on the news. I remember when it happened. I remember the guy, but I never really heard the conclusion of it. It was nice to see his whole story, but he was a security guard, and he found the bomb, and he basically people still got killed and people still got hurt, but he basically helped save a bunch of people. But then the press went after him and basically demonized him, and then the FBI kind of went after him and demonized him, and he had to fight it basically. And his best friend, I apologize, I can't see it here. Sam Rockwell. I'm sorry, I remembered it right when I turned on the light. Sam Rockwell's his friend, and he's a lawyer, and he helps him fight. Fight basically the FBI. I mean, they were basically going to lynch him. The FBI was just going to lynch him, and with no evidence, and they knew they had no evidence. And it's really, to me, Clint Eastwood kind of putting the middle finger into everything that's going on now. No offense, it's very anti-woke because there's a lot of scenes where he puts the the flag, Dixie flag, in the Southern flag in the background prominently. I'm not saying I support all that stuff, but it's just he makes sure it's in there, like where they would skate around it. Another filmmaker may skate around it and be like, oh, we can just kind of shoot around, not having the flag and stuff, the Confederate flag, and it just felt like I just felt like he was kind of going against because he's definitely, Clint Eastwood's definitely not part of this crap that's going on. You know,
I just think that he's one of those directors who's not scared to make the film authentic. You know, make it as true to the reality as it should be, like you said. You know, you know, if you want the truest depiction of what was going on in like 1992 or whenever that was, I mean, that's what it was. I mean, that's what the background would have looked like as you travel through Georgia. Yeah. I mean, that's not anything that's like he's trying to be purposefully, you know, confrontational or like, you know, trying to get something started. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But I think it's authentic. Yeah, it was authentic, exactly. And if I remember correctly, when that movie came out last year or a year and a half ago, there was a lot of pushback in the media. And so, like, you had Kathy Bates, Sam Rockwell, and Clint Eastwood, and everybody had to get out there and say, you know, this is what happened. This is a true story. Like, this is what happened to this man that was, you know, had this horrible, you know, accusation when he actually was trying to save people's lives. He was thrown under the bus and was essentially being called, you know, into question, his character, his way of life, that he was a criminal. And, you know, and I mean, like you said, that's kind of what's going on in a lot of our society nowadays, is that you're just trying to ruin someone's life before you even decide to know what the actual story is. So I think it was very true to that.
It was the beginning of like just a downward spiral of journalism. The journalists had a lot to do with it too. They focus in on that in the movie as well, as much so as they do the crooked FBI doing what they were doing, and you know.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. And the guy who played the main character here, the Richard Jewell, excuse me, played Richard Jewell. I believe he was in I, Tonya. I believe he played you remember the kind of dumbass. Did you guys see I, Tonya?
I haven't seen it, but I heard good things about it.
I'm sorry, I can't remember all the names involved in that, but it was. I remember Nancy Kerrigan, but the other girl, the movie's about Tony Harding. What is Tony Harding? But
that's the one.
It was her husband. Her husband had like a friend, and he was just a dumbass and basically told on him.
Right. Well,
but I think he plays him, but
yeah.
But that's a good movie. You guys can check that out. I just picked that up on a whim, and it was good.
Well, back to Clint Eastwood. I mean, Clint Eastwood pretty much can do anything he wants. I mean, he's just, especially at Warner Brothers. I mean, he's always been at Warner Brothers, you know, pretty much, you know. So they're not going to mess with Clint too much. He's 90 some years old. They're not going to mess with him too much. I think he can get away with whatever he wants to say, if he wants to say whatever, you know.
Well, he's like Woody Allen, though. Woody Allen just makes movies about one movie a year, you know. I don't think Woody's been making anything here recently, but that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, I love Woody Allen from the 70s and 80s and some of his 90s, and I just kind of quit watching it. It wasn't due to anything that I just kind of, you know.
I feel like Woody Allen's movies are very New York. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of very, you know, like if you can't be open to that kind of, you know, experience, you know, that's like really outside of our comfort zone or what we might know. It's kind of like the TV show Seinfeld. There's a bunch of New York references. It's about New York, all over New York, you know, but I still enjoy it. Just like I like Woody Allen. I still enjoy his movies. But I think a lot of people don't care to go that deep into trying to understand maybe that type of film. You know what I'm saying? That type of very specific parts of a city or a state or even like a couple blocks of a city, you know? And I think sometimes people don't want to go that far out. So I do enjoy his movies too. And again, it's subject matter.
He's made some newer ones that's good, like Vicky Cristina Barcelona and Whatever Works with Larry David was good. That movie, Anything Else? Did you guys see that when he made with Christina Ricci and Jason Biggs?
Mm-mm.
No, I've heard. It came out about what? 10 years ago or the last 10
yeah,
years?
I think it was about 2000 in that era, 99, 2000.
Yeah,
Christina Ricci is just despisable. Her character is just despisable. If you watch it, you cringe over her character, but she does such a good job. I mean, Woody Allen's hilarious. He's hilarious in it. He's playing basically like he's kind of a gun nut, oddly enough, for somebody like Woody Allen. But he's basically his character, yeah. Because Jason Biggs he becomes his friend, and like he's like, I've got a gun in like next to every place I sit in the house. This is not just a paranoid kind of guy. But it's just a good movie. That's a good one. I like Woody Allen. I mean, I haven't finished watching the HBO Max special about him. I'm sure they're going to paint him out to be guilty. I don't know the 100% story. The only thing I know about him is that the girl that he was involved with, he's still married to her to this day. So I mean, what he did was shitty, but
so what they've done is they've seen that he's gotten along with her all these years. Now they're bringing up these other allegations that just until now, don't. I just think that let's judge a man on what he does. You have to give it to him. He's also in his 90s or well close to his 90s, and he puts out a movie every year. He's consistent. Yeah. He's hardworking. He has a vision. You have to give it to him. I mean, he is a true artist. But I don't know. I've been holding off wanting to watch that also. Because
I started it, and then I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I ran out of episodes to watch, and I hadn't finished watching it. So
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's always, I feel like sometimes there's people who in Hollywood get a pass, on doing some pretty despicable things, and other people get buried. So sometimes you just never know where the truth is, and it sucks because I don't want to support a guy who's a scumbag or a woman, but I don't want to support somebody who's like a true scumbag. But at the same time, some of those guys' sins are hidden or protected, and other guys, when they're no longer useful, get thrown to the wolves, and they, get exposed. And you're like, well, is this a hit piece, or how much of this is real? So you just never know. I think that's the thing. There are some guys in my book are just terrible people that I don't have no use for. Then there's like Woody Allen's in that gray area, like you said. I don't know if I want to watch that documentary because maybe I'll feel different afterwards. So it's like once I watch it, I'm going to be like, like where do I fall down on that now?
Well, but it's done by HBO, so you're not going to be able to. It's going to have a left-leaning perspective, no matter what. It's going to defend the women's perspective, more than likely, because it already has in the first 2 episodes. I'm not saying it won't turn around and it kind of evens out and tries to present his side of the story differently, but this day and age, I doubt it.
Yeah. So we have a
10
question.
years ago, maybe.
So yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you, John. So we have a question. I don't know if you all want to answer it. I have anyone seen the Clint Eastwood movie Mule that he came out about 4 or 5 years ago? And if you have seen it, what do you think about it?
I saw it. I was optimistic about it. I guess it was pretty good, but I don't know. I was wanting more from it. It ended up just turning into just a regular movie. You know what I mean? Like, it had a pretty decent premise, but it wasn't altogether original or anything. But still, I don't know. It's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he turns out
the same way. It's not.
I don't want to give. I feel like I don't want to give away the ending because the ending is somewhat, it is what it is. Kind of like what you were saying. I feel like if the way it ended, could have been different, I would have liked it more. I think the ending kind of was just like, okay. I guess that's what happened. I don't necessarily need a Gran Torino ending, even though that's pretty epic ending, but I don't need an ending like that. But I feel like the ending that was on that one, I kind of felt like, yeah, all right, like you said, it was a typical Hollywood movie. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't overtly good.
Yeah.
$1 Million Baby, it just bummed me out at the end of that. That I hate to be like that. I mean, it was just a bummer at the end. I mean, it was a powerful movie, but that was just a very surreal ending.
Yeah, that's a hard watch. I saw that in the theater with my son's mom, and the scene where she goes down and breaks her neck, I didn't see that coming, and that just completely threw me for a loop, you know. And then, like you said, and then like an hour later, when he helps her, let's just say he helps her out, I guess is the best way to say it. Like I just was like, oh my gosh, like. Yeah, that was definitely when you leave that theater, you're not really feeling that great about yourself.
No, but
yeah,
so
yeah. But the thing is, to kind of
what's your movie? What's your movie? We want to see your movie this week.
Yeah. Okay. So
before we get too far behind, before we get too far behind.
Yeah, it's okay. We can just talk, and like I said, we'll get to them eventually. We don't got to do all three.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I just
no. You're fine.
I was trying to do some a little interlude there.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine, dude. Oh man, so
I'm not a presenter.
Okay, it's fine. So this one came out. I got one. I want to know what you all think about this because this came out in like 2000, probably 5. I don't know if you all seen. I picked it up in a pawn shop a couple weeks ago, and I talk about it. It's a remake from I believe it's a Vincent Price, 19. I want to say 60s, 13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of the ones we kind of talked about this, I think, off camera. But how sometimes remakes obviously suck. We talked about the True Grit actually being a really good remake with the Coen brothers, remaking the John Wayne classic. But I feel like this one right here is a really good remake. I mean, they did tons of practical effects. They did a really good job with the special effects, but there was a lot of this could have been a really just huge CGI crap fest, but it turned out to be actually a lot of really cool ghosts. I thought the story was interesting. So, anyways, I don't know if either one of you are big horror movie fans, but I want to ask you all what you thought about this if you've seen it.
I'll let you two talk about it because I haven't seen it.
Well, I think I've seen it once back around the time it came out. I know it's a remake of William Castle was the
William
producer.
Castle. I said Vincent Price. I meant William Castle. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, you're fine. Yeah, William Castle, and I think it's actually better than the original. I think the original came out like 63 or 62 or mid 60s. I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I think it's better than what was that one with Paris Hilton?
Ghost House
Ship?
of Wax.
House of Wax. Yeah, that
was the Vincent Price one.
Yeah. I didn't like that too much. I thought it was just I don't know, but yeah, that's a pretty solid pickup though. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it came out initially with a snapper case. Back in like when they still did snapper cases, but anyways, I just thought that was an interesting find. I liked that movie. I know that a lot of movies that came out during that time, we all know, especially horror movies, were getting remade every 5 minutes, and most of them were god awful. But I thought this one was actually one of the diamonds in the rough out there. So it was had a pretty good story. It stayed pretty true to the original. 1960 or whatever, William Castle one. They just updated the special effects. I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, if I can go ahead and do my pick, I can
please.
I can segue right into that because my next pick. This is a movie from Joe Dante, 1993. It's actually a tribute to a producer like William Castle. Matinee.
Oh, Matinee, yes.
Matinee is basically, that's funny that you picked that one because, but yeah, it's John Goodman plays a like William Castle type producer who does these gimmicks for each one of his movies.
Yes.
And it takes place down in Florida around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they're at this little town and they're setting it up, and it kind of shows some of the stuff going on with some people during that week that they're getting the theater ready for the premiere, and like a teenage girl and boy, they're kind of on and off relationship, and has a great performance by Kathy Moriarty. I can't even pronounce her name. She plays kind of his girlfriend, assistant. She was in Raging Bull as Jake LaMotta's wife or girlfriend or love interest. But yeah, it's a really good movie. It's very underrated. Joe Dante, I remember when this came out, I wanted to see it, and I ended up getting it, one of the first movies I rented on Laserdisc at the time, and it was really cool. And this edition just came out from Shout, for their Shout Select line, Shout Select. And
I haven't even seen that. I don't know how, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I'm sure you have it on Laserdisc. I have two different versions of it on Laserdisc.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It comes with this really nice slipcase. I got this off Amazon, but it's got a lot of great special features. I think most of it's kind of from the previous release, but it's also got the full-length version of the film that the movie that they're getting ready to premiere. It's called Mant, about a guy turns into a giant ant, so it's called Mant. So it shows the whole full-length movie that they kind of made up for the movie. So it's really cool. It's got a lot of stuff in it though, but it's one of those kind of fell under the radar, back in the early '90s and stuff. Though, but
that's a really underrated movie. You're right. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Forgot about
that's
it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of another Hollywood about Hollywood type of movie.
Yeah, I was about ready to say you have a theme going with the Hollywood.
Yeah.
About the Hollywood.
I'm gonna have to pick that up. I didn't know it because that's awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's about all for that one though. But yeah, I do highly recommend it. It's really good.
Yeah, John, and there's like they have like a whole well, I can't say a gimmick going on for the theater too. Like all the seats are going to be retrofitted and stuff. That's what they're doing. Yeah, with like motion or something, or make it vibrate and all this stuff.
Vibrate. Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, so it's really cool. It's showing them setting it up, testing it out, and everything. And it's
not that important, but it's just.
Well, no, it kind of is part of him, the producer, his gimmick. He does that more or less, and he's trying to stay relevant, in the changing times and stuff, and stuff like
it showcases what's going on in the 50s too. They were doing stuff like that, like smell-o-vision and 3D and all this stuff, and trying to do little gimmick things for movies especially with the sci-fi movies of that era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I thought it was a cute little movie, it's solid. It's 25 years later, it's still pretty good.
Let me ask you all this. There's a question that came in. Do either one of you know if Joe Dante is still directing films?
I think he does a lot of commentary work. He shows up in a lot of like little documentaries about stuff and everything, and he's done some like TV work. Like there was some kind of horror anthology series that John Carpenter worked on, and he did one of the episodes. Masters of Horror, yeah. But I think that's the last thing that I'm aware of that he did.
Didn't he do The Hole? That movie, The Hole, or whatever? Is that the
name?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he did Holes, didn't he? Yeah.
That came out maybe about 15 years ago.
That's not super new, but it's like fairly new,
Yeah.
The thing that Joe Dante does the most now, to my knowledge, aside from like commentaries or like documentaries he'll be a part of or whatnot, like you said, he has his YouTube channel, Trailers from Hell.
Oh yeah.
And they release usually 1 or 2 trailers each week or a handful a month. And he's not the primary one. He used to be one of the primary guys that did them, but he does like they could be either a couple minutes to like 5-6 minute trailers from films, and then they do like a commentary over the trailer. And Joe Dante being so versed in cinema, he's one of the best ones that can do it, because he has a wealth of knowledge that's pretty unparalleled to a lot of other people. So if you really want to get your Joe Dante fix, I would suggest going over there, because there's like hundreds of trailers that he's done over the years. And I think he did that. They started that website like a decade ago, maybe even longer. So there's plenty of stuff to check out from him.
Yeah. I also watched another movie of his, Piranha, which I hadn't seen for so long, and it was so good. It was so good still. So I was like, that's another. I didn't pick that one though, but
my favorite movie is The Burbs.
Oh yeah, The Burbs. Yeah.
I love it. I don't know what it is. It's. I know it's probably not his best movie, but it's just something. I think what it was is because when I was a kid, they used to run it all the time, like on Showtime or HBO or one of those, and I used to see it all the time, and it just sticks in my head.
Yeah, it's got a good cast. Yeah.
So what about you, John? Do you have another one?
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. I laid out several here, but we'll just see here. Like I say, I didn't watch a whole lot, but I watched several, but I didn't. But this is one that's pretty good. Just goes back just a little bit. This is Errol Flynn movie.
Oh, Captain Blood.
Oh yeah, I had my eye on that. I was looking to see if they had a Blu-ray. I don't think they have Blu-ray yet of it.
Yeah, I actually found the DVD set. I found the DVD set of Errol Flynn stuff, and I picked it up, and that's really good.
That's
swashbuckling.
Cool,
yeah, he was kind of the action star of the era, you know.
Yeah, that and the Seahawk is really good swashbucklers.
Yeah, this has I always forget her name. It's Olivia de Havilland.
Oh yeah,
and,
she just recently died.
She was gorgeous, but she was gorgeous, but they never did get together in real life, but they kind of flirted with the relationship, but he was kind of off and on with different people all the time, different women.
He was
divorced several times, but yeah. So but that's a good movie.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
It's an old one. It's old.
So a question came across. Have the last 2 movies, so it's Matinee and Captain Blood. Are those films pretty rare? Or are they easy to be found?
Oh yeah. There's both still in print, so yeah, they're easily.
Okay,
which
so there
one?
you go.
Like Matinee, like Matinee.
Yeah, Matinee and Captain Blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can probably find those.
Yeah, I would say those are pretty easy to find, Bob. I think Matinee just came out how long ago did that release come out, Mike?
Oh, it came out just, gosh. Well, this says 2017, but it seems like it's newer than that. I want to say 2018.
Okay. So you got that Shout Factory, right? That's a Shout Factory release.
And I didn't say much. I didn't say much about that. That's Warner Brothers, and I think a little bit know about the production of it. I think Warner Brothers, previous to making this movie, I'm not sure if it was this movie or one of his other movies, but they had built a massive soundstage, and they were able to flood it with I forget how many acres of water, and they actually had pretty much a full size ship in the water to do the film on. It might not have been full size, but it was a pretty large recreation to film on. It was just
it wasn't any Goonie size ship. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, John, does that have a lot of extras on it on that edition?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's got a whole lot of stuff. I just haven't sat down and watched them all. Yeah, it's got Leonard Maltin hosts Warner Not at the Movies,
Yeah,
1935.
I like those.
Newsreel, musical shorts, comedy shorts, cartoon billboard facts, theatrical trailers, new featurette, Captain Blood. A new featurette, audio commentaries, language.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a
Cool.
bit of stuff. Yeah, all
So
these
gonna-
cities. Yeah.
I was gonna buy it, but I just keep finding the DVD. So it's like every time I buy the DVD, when I'm looking for the Blu-ray, and then next week the Blu-ray comes out, and it's like, oh
Right.
man. So I'm in
never
limbo.
fails.
So I'm in kind of a limbo right now with wanting to get it.
I prefer I find things in Blu-ray, but some things I have a feeling will never be released to Blu-ray, or just will never get the opportunity to be released to Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If given it long enough time, they'd release everything, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen. We're gonna run out of physical in probably 10 years. I say we still got 5 or 10 years maybe left, but
I mean, does anybody truly know what's going on with Warner Archive? I mean, are they going to stop making stuff in the next year period, or are they going to just?
I heard it's been disbanded. I mean, if you listen to Sarah at Midnight, he apparently has some people on the inside working there, and they pretty much got rid of that whole division. Like everything's going to digital, and then of course the only things they're going to release to Blu-ray or 4K are going to be the hot new releases. The new stuff coming out. Now I'm sure, I'm sure if there was like a, maybe some kind of special anniversary or something like that, they might, dust off the old 35 millimeter print and reassess it and put it out in the market. Maybe if there's some kind of special anniversary or some kind of, monumental film that needs to be brought, to the forefront. But I mean, I feel like a lot of these studios are going to do what the boutique studios are doing, or DVD companies now, Blu-ray. They're going to find special events or reasons, and then they're going to bring them out, and then they're going to do like a big shebang with them, and then they're going to just disappear into the the netherworld again, because they don't.
Yeah.
I don't see them continuing to be made moving forward. Like I feel like we're on the other side of physical media now. Like kind of like what John was saying. I feel like there's a expiration date. I don't know when that is, but I think there is one on it.
Yeah. Well, I told that's what we were speaking about earlier. I told a certain person that I said I'll keep on collecting till the day I die, but it'll be long after they quit printing stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll keep going to the stores who sell it, because I'd say in a few years. There's a lot of what I call normies, just normal collectors.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the crap hits the fan and it's no more, they completely quit making disc players, or their disc player goes bad, they'll abandon ship on everything they own. And the used market will be flooded here in a couple of years with physical media, especially with all the selling that's been happening in the past year.
Yeah.
With all the And all the new collectors, there's a lot of the collectors, especially the people with channels out here. A lot of these collectors have just started collecting within the last 5 years. They're new collectors, and which is fine. It's awesome.
But I think what you're saying is true. They're more collectors than they are film fans. They're collectors because it's like they're collecting because of either artwork or because of like maybe the connection with it being a childhood thing with them or whatever. There's some nostalgia to it, but they're not actually film fans. They're not cinephiles. It's almost like when I used to be a big sports card collector. It's like just the feeling of having to just keep buying stuff. It's like you need it for your collection. You feel like it's like the FOMO, fear of missing out. So you just buy, but then you don't really have any really connection to what you're buying. So I think you're correct. So
yes, some are and some are not. Some
sure. I mean, I'm sure there's some
you can tell that some people are what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, the thing is that's fine if that's what you like to do. That's fine.
Right.
Because when I go to a different state or something, I collect shot glasses, but I can't drink. I don't drink. I just can't drink. being diabetic and all, I just can't drink, but I collect shot glasses from different places I go, but I don't drink. So it's kind of the same thing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all have a certain way? We got another question. Do you all know of a place you all use to find out if a movie is out of print, or like a certain release is out of print? Is there a certain source that you go to find that?
There's a site, OOP.com or something like that. It's like an out of print site that lists out of print movies. I don't know if it's the best source, but
I mean, even when something goes out of print, a lot of times you can still find it for sale on eBay and stuff, where there's the secondary market of sellers out there that have, because I've found brand new stuff on eBay for cheap, because once something goes out of print. But if it's like a real popular cult status title, it'll just keep going up in value after it goes out of print, But I don't know. I'm not really sure about that, actually. I just kind of know it's not there anymore, and you just get the word somehow,
There's some people that pursue out of print stuff. I don't really pursue it. I don't look for it unless I just happen upon being able to find it. But the problem with trying to go to like half price books or a lot of your thrift places is there's vultures out there who are constantly in those places scavenging for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that
buy it all up.
Yeah. They have scanner. They literally. I've told you. I think I've told you before about them. They'll rig up scanners to their phones, and they just go through and mass scan stuff, and they know right on the spot what's out of print and what's not. They do it with not just movies. They do it with books and everything else. So they just go through everything and they scan. They've been called up. People have made videos of them. They've caught them on video doing it. So I've seen video of people actually doing this. So it sucks, but that's what people think. They think they can go and put $100 for it, and some people will buy the stuff. That's what's crazy. There's people out there. There's people out there going and buying Dollar Tree stuff right now. You know good and well what I'm talking about. They're buying Dollar Tree stuff and turning around for $1 and turning around and selling it for $5 or $10. Then people are buying that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, Gray talked about he had heard that Archive will be sold to Amazon. So Warner Brother Archive is gonna be sold to Amazon. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
so I guess that does kind of make sense, though. I guess too, because Amazon's a streaming service now, so I can see them just sending their whole catalog to somewhere like that. But why wouldn't they just keep it on? Doesn't Warner Brothers have their own streaming channel? Maybe not. I thought they did.
Well, they already do movie on demand, so Amazon may continue that program. Just burning discs. I'm sure something you had the other day was one of those movies on demand. They do that a lot.
Yeah, with the DVDs. I think the Blu-rays though are not burned on disc though. Yeah. But,
I definitely think that we have people like in the sports card world who are investors who invest in cars to turn around and try to flip them later at a higher price. And somebody mentioned like, when will the investors get in on the DVD, Blu-ray, market? I would say they're already here in a lot of ways. Like because a lot of these boutique companies like Severin and Vinegar Syndrome and Diabolic DVD and Kino Lorber and all these places, I don't know if they have in the past, but I've heard them recently saying that you can't get more than like 5 copies. But there'll be people who will buy up as many copies as they can get and hold on to them because they know they can flip them for money. I know I have a friend of mine who will buy them just to get the slip covers because he knows the slip covers sometimes sell more than the actual DVD themselves because people are like, they're like these completists, and the Blu-ray will sell for 20, but the slip cover sells for 40.
Yeah. Unless the slipcover is different artwork, I don't really go bananas over it or anything. If it's got separate artwork and it's an actual something to buy it for or keep it for, and stuff, then that's cool. But, if it's just artwork upon the same artwork, it's kind of like, okay, it's got a nice slipcase on it, but, it's, I don't see what the big deal is on everything, every slipcover is just, I don't get it.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, some of them are making a big deal. Like vinegar, you got a vinegar syndrome. It had a slipcase, correct? That one
they
you
have
got?
slip covers.
The one that you got? Yeah.
Yeah, the matinee does and stuff. But see, that's just the same artwork upon the same artwork. Well, but I knew that buying it. Actually, I didn't know if it would have a slipcover or not when I got it.
Well, no, I'm not so much talking about that. I'm talking about something that Jason got. You got something in your last haul that was a vinegar syndrome. It didn't have a slip. Because vinegar syndrome, they usually put they have like a heavy duty slip on them. They put not everything, but they're the ones that I think some of them and like Arrow started that, having that real heavy duty slips, and the ones that people are trying to collect. But I agree totally. I kind of went off there a little bit about that, but I kind of went off base a little bit. But I agree. It's kind of pointless to worry about the slip.
I will say, while I want to make a reference, Golf said one of his favorite. He enjoyed watching The Burbs, so that was another one. So I mentioned The Burbs, and he said he enjoyed watching that movie. But Gray mentioned, and I agree. I think all three of us probably fall into this category a lot. Is that he has a hard time keeping himself out of the Dollar Tree, and I think that's true because we're film fans. Getting a movie for $1 or a Blu-ray for $1, even if it ends up being not being a good movie, it's worth the risk. And I think a lot of times some of these actors, especially like a Nicolas Cage, they do so many movies that there's just too much. It's too hard to keep up with all of them. And so this is going and getting them at a Dollar Tree or a Big Lots or a Dollar General or whatever is kind of a cool way to get these movies for pretty cheap, and maybe they're good. Maybe you want to keep in your collection because it's worth holding on to. Maybe it's just, complete garbage. You can just, send it down the river, trade it, sell it for a couple of bucks on eBay or whatever. But I think it's a good way to kind of like, one, add to your collection, and two, find things at a really, really cheap price that might actually fit in your collection that you enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, my Dollar Trees never have movies, period. I don't know why.
I thought that about mine for a while, and I kept telling somebody else I'm friends with here on the internet. I said, man, my Dollar Trees just don't ever have movies. And then all of a sudden they started getting them. I think I just was going in there at the wrong times. You got to hit them at the right time, because there's some places they just get scooped up quick.
Yeah, I know my Dollar General stores do though.
Yeah, there's guys on YouTube. We all know there's guys on YouTube who, that's their job, is to go and buy as much as they can of anything cheap, so they can try to get $3 off of a $1 DVD or $4 off of a Blu-ray or whatever. Hold on to it and hope it goes to $10 2 months from now or whatever. It is what it is. It's. I'm not a fan of it, but it's whatever. But those are the kind of people who go and stake them out, and wait for them, waiting for them to hit the shelf, and they go and grab them all, and then they leave crap like that 2018 New Orleans Saints DVD sitting there that no one wants. That's not what I want to get.
Yeah.
So, that's all that's been left in the Blu-rays. Everywhere I've been going, the Blu-rays would be all those. I bought one of them. I bought one in the World Series, and I just bought one, and that's all I was going to buy of them. But
so what about here's a question: Paul Thomas Anderson or Wes Anderson? Who's your pick?
I like both, because that's a director I hadn't brought up. They're both great. Have you ever seen Hard 8? Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie.
Oh yeah.
Before
great.
Boogie Nights. That's yeah, that's a great movie. But it's hard to it's hard to
Yeah, Hard Eight's really good.
yeah. I mean, well, I mean, I don't know who, because they're both they're different directors. They both do different things, and they're both kind of
Yeah, Wes
brilliant,
Anderson
brilliant.
too.
That's a really good question. I probably lean towards Wes Anderson more, I think, but yeah, I like any story. I really like stories that Wes Anderson tells. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of oddball, offbeat type of stories, characters that are really weird. I don't know. I just enjoy that more for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, Wes Anderson's definitely his movies are definitely more original as far as because the writing aspect of it, because it's usually him writing or him partnered up with some, Owen Wilson or somebody else like that, and they're just they do great writing. Or I think his brother might help him write some of the stuff too. I think he's credited in there.
Oh no, I mean There Will Be Blood is just one of my favorite movies. Just it's such a great,
that's incredible
movie.
Let me ask you all this. Like, I mean, that's
that last movie he made was good.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about because Daniel Day-Lewis. There's a few actors out there who are so believable in the role that you either really love them, you really hate them, you despise them, whatever. I mean, Anderson does a good job of pulling that out of them, but some of them might not even need it that much. Are there certain actors that you watch? We kind of talked about the whole thing with Hilary Swank and $1 Million Baby and all that. Are there certain actors you watch and you're just like, man, their performance is so unsettling. I don't know if I can even really watch this movie again, or I need to be in the right frame of mind to watch it because some of them are just so realistic. It doesn't feel like you're watching a movie. You feel like you're watching like almost a documentary where you're like, this is just too real.
I don't know. I can't think of any right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some. The stuff starts.
Because I mean, like the reason I say that is because when I think about what's his name? All of a sudden, I forgot.
Paul Thomas.
Paul Thomas Anderson. There'll be blood, and I mean, like Daniel Day-Lewis's character in that movie is such a tremendous a-hole. You know what I'm saying? He is just awful. He's awful to his son. He's awful to every single person he comes in contact with. And I mean, he does his job the right way. Like, you hate him. Like, I just don't like the guy, And at the end, obviously, he's even worse, like what he does. Yeah. And I mean, I'm like, obviously, I know he's an actor and he's doing such a good job. And I'm just like, wow. Like, it's a hard movie to watch because it's like, it feels so real.
Well, even
Phantom Thread
was
the movie I was trying to think about. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, even Boogie Nights, some of the performances are just so realistic high in drama that you can't just watch it all the time. It's like you have to kind of be in the right, like you said, like the right, because it is just very, very powerful performances and stuff, and it's like you want to watch it, but it's kind of like you can't just flip it on and be like, nah. And, it's like it either takes you in or you're just not. You don't want to watch it so much because some of those scenes in Boogie Nights, I remember back when I first saw it, it was just like, wow, this is just so something. You couldn't put your finger on it exactly.
Magnolia, those Magnolia,
it's like the Tom Cruise.
But the performance he got out of Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the most brilliant, but I mean, the movie's great, because Emma Watson's is amazing in it, and I don't know, but it's intense, I think he did a lot of. I think he did a lot of coke in the 90s. Paul Thomas Anderson, because his movies feels like they were written on that they're like I've never done coke, but they feel like you see people the way they're represented. It's kind of jittery. They're just like right on the edge of your seat kind of movies. They're just,
Yeah, it's like he has cocaine running through all his movies somehow,
For
some
sure.
form.
Yeah.
Somebody,
I'm sorry I brought that up, but Inherent
No.
Vice is another movie he made. Have you guys seen that? Inherent
Yeah.
Vice. Inherent Vice.
Oh yeah,
I
and The
don't think I've seen
Master.
that one.
Inherent Vice, yeah. Yeah, The
Well,
Master's good as well.
The Master too has just got one of those performances
Yes,
where
The
it's just like
Master. Yes.
craziness.
Well,
Golf-
Inherent Vice isn't so intense, so it's kind of the opposite. It almost takes a more kind of
Laid back.
mellow hippie,
Laid back.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the main character is kind of a hippie. You know, he is a hippie.
Yeah.
Golf mentioned Boogie Nights. The firecracker scene is bananas. That firecracker.
Oh,
that is
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the
Yeah.
scenes I was thinking about in
Right.
particular. Yeah.
And then Bob mentioned that Grand Budapest Hotel is one of his favorite movies, and I know one of you all told me it's worth checking out. So that's two people
yeah.
who mentioned
Yeah.
it. So I need to go buy that. I know I can go get it. I can go get it on Blu-ray right now at the pawn shop. So probably tomorrow morning I'm gonna go and pick it up because it's just sitting there. And I think you mentioned it, and now Bob's mentioned it. So I'm pretty much I gotta do it.
Well, the second time I watched it, the second time I saw that, I really liked it, and then I think each time you watch it, it just keeps getting better. It really does. And I'm really a big fan of it now.
So, so we have somebody mention, and I didn't think about this, but Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Zippy mentioned it. He really said he liked that one. I think that's another one that felt so real, like
And wait a minute,
too real, because obviously you're dealing with a married couple obviously at the time they were married, and that movie feels very like you're watching something you shouldn't be watching, like you're like looking into somebody's private life, but. It is a very interesting film, and I've watched the documentary about it, about what he put everybody through to get that movie done. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, my phone.
Yeah,
he was. To die.
Yeah, he was. A lot of people think he may have been killed over that movie, even though he supposedly died of natural causes. But I think we lost Mike for a second.
I know Mike might have dipped out on something. I think he got froze up there, so we'll see what happens.
But that's an incredibly tense movie. He's Kubrick was a master of that as well.
Sure. And then Gray mentioned Inherent Vice is really strange, and that kind of goes back to what you were saying.
It's a good representation of the book. So I've read the book. That guy writes some great stuff. The guy who wrote that book, and it's a pretty good representation of the book.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I don't know anything about it. So after this conversation, I'm going to go to eBay and a few other places, or maybe Amazon or whatnot, and try to find a few of these films that we've been talking about that I've missed out on. And then Golf mentioned that he thought, and I agree with him, it's taken a few years, but Eyes Wide Shut's finally got the credit it deserved. I think that's true because when it first came out, a lot of people were all hung up on, the whole dynamic partnership of, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. That got more play than the actual movie. And then, and then their divorce pretty much right after that happened. And so I think a lot of people didn't really think about that movie being as good as it really is. So
it's a very intense movie. I'm trying to personally answer your question. Trying to think of something. Like I say, I've seen so much stuff, and I get hung up on trying to think of something that that has a really great intense character. I'm trying to think of like a some of David Lynch movies, like his characters are insanely, they're just insane, a lot of them. But especially like Twin Peaks and like movies like Fire Walk with Me and stuff like that. It's just some of the characters are just amazingly intense in that. Like as far as old movies go, I mean, the Betty Davis movie, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? That's an
Yeah.
intense movie. And gracious, I don't even know. The characters in Chinatown are that way as well.
Yeah, that's another movie that gets mentioned so much as being one of the best ones out there. Somebody mentioned Zodiac. Golf mentioned
Yeah,
Zodiac again. That's a
yeah,
good one.
that's
And the
good.
Paul Avery character, the Paul Avery character was awesome. Yeah, indeed. So yeah, man, I appreciate a lot of the conversation you all have been given. I hope
Yeah,
maybe Mike's gonna pop back on, but Bob mentioned that he had said his phone was about to die, so maybe that's what happened. So I'm not for sure he'll
uh,
pop back on.
no, I was going to show you this. I think you might have you had the DVD version the other day on one of your
Right.
videos, but that came out. But I did see the thing about this. It does have reversible artwork underneath, so I switched it to the cover that I always remember it having in the
Yes.
in the movie stores.
And the Dino De Laurentiis cover right there. Yes, the King Kong. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but
is awesome. Are there quite a few special features on there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't got to
Yeah, I
check
know
any, but
you. I know you talked about
that's
that in
a
your last movie. Was that
that's
Shout
a
Factory?
yeah, that's shout.
Do you remember
But
a movie that came out around that same time? It might have even been by De Laurentiis. It was called Iceman, and it was like some caveman that they thawed out from the ice. It came out probably like 85, 86. Do you remember that? Do you know that movie?
seems
Have you ever heard of it?
seems familiar, but I can't remember if I've seen it or
That movie
not.
like
But
haunts me still to this day. It's just a movie. I watched it when I was probably about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10. It was messed up. And it felt so real. Like, this guy was in ice and he thaw him out and he's running around and acting like a caveman. And I'll never forget that. But it feels like it came around at the same time King Kong did. That's why I always put them together. Oh yeah, Bob mentions he watched Raising Arizona way before he understood the Coen brothers. The music was so memorable. I think that's true. I think all of us
yeah,
probably around the same age watching Raising Arizona. It was probably over our head and some of that stuff in that 80s. And you go back and revisit it, you totally get it later.
yeah, their movies are insane. I'm trying to think of the name of Blood Simple's a good movie of theirs.
Blood Simple, yes, that one doesn't get talked about a lot.
And
and then of course let's see here. I think what's the one he did with Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yeah, that's a classic. Really
yeah, that's another one. I saw that in the theater. It's probably it may have been, to my knowledge, one of the first Coen Brothers movies I saw in the theater. I could be wrong. I sometimes forget which all movies they've done because they've done quite a few. But I know that's one of the ones.
Fargo, Big Lebowski.
Fargo, yeah, Big Lebowski. Okay, Big Lebowski I saw in the theater. Yes, Fargo probably saw in the theater. That came out like 97. So that's possible that I probably saw that as well.
I didn't see that in the theater, but I did see the Big Lebowski in the theater for sure.
Oh yeah, Bob's over here telling me that wasn't called Iceman, that was called Encino Man. Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing, Bob.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing, but
Pauly Shore and Brendan Fraser, right? Yeah.
I want that. I want that on Blu-ray now. I watch good movies, but I like stupid ones too every now and then. And I like Pauly Shore movies. I want
Airheads on Blu-ray. So that's what I'm looking for. Airheads.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was thinking about that other day. I said that needs to be on Blu-ray before. So
yeah. I know.
Well,
I know,
it makes no sense that it's not. It's got Adam Sandler in it. It's got a big enough cast that it should be able to sell. So.
Yeah, No Country for Old Men. That's another great movie. I agree.
Yeah.
Bob is 100% correct on that one. That's another kind of like a Western type movie.
One of my favorites is Barton Fink. I know I'm going to the old route to the new route.
Yeah, that's
Have you
John
seen that one?
Turturro back in the day. Yeah. Yeah,
John
I like
Goodman's
Barton
in
Fink.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's got
I
the
actually
most
saw that movie.
absurd
I saw Barton Fink way later, like back in that movie came out in the late '80s, early '90s too, something like that.
in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So I
80s.
probably saw that back in 2000. So I missed the boat on that one, and I saw that. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is a great movie. I don't know how I missed it, but I did.
Well, I said late 80s. It could have come out right around 90 or something in that
Right,
period
but it's
of
in
time.
that. It's in that.
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got the most bizarre plot. The playwright, he's like a celebrated playwright, and they send him to Hollywood. He gets invited to Hollywood to make a movie, and they stick him on making a wrestling movie, like the lowest rung of movies he could make.
Right.
He's scripted to write a wrestling movie.
Oh man, that's awesome! Yeah, I completely forgot about it. Yeah, I need to go back and revisit that one too.
Miller's Crossing's a good gangster movie they made.
Yes.
Miller's, yeah.
That one never gets talked about anymore. You're exactly right. That's another one. Oh man, that's great. But hey, man, we're at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
it's got that awesome scene. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
It has that awesome scene on the bill. But it has that awesome scene where he's like, I'm not much of a shot, but with the Thompson, I'm an artist. You know.
That is awesome. I love it. I don't remember that line. Again, it gives me a reason to go back and watch. So, but anyways, we're literally at the hour and a half mark. So I appreciate you hanging in here. I want to say thanks to Mike, Dagger Films. His phone died on him, he said. So definitely go check out John's channel, Low IQ Media. Don't let the name fool you. It's definitely not the case at all. It's a highbrow YouTube channel. So
yeah,
but
highbrow.
Yeah, highbrow. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody contributing today. We had quite a few people in here talking and contributing.
Thanks for you guys showing up.
Yeah, man, it makes the conversation go. It takes the conversation in different directions. And
I'm talking about the people that come in to watch us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it takes the conversation in different directions. That we came in here with an idea that we went off and did other things, which is great. Which is what I prefer that. So, but yeah, man, thanks for everybody for watching, and we'll do this again maybe in another week or two, and we'll mix it up and bring some other people on, and we'll just see how it goes. So. Thanks again, John, for hanging out, dude.
Yeah, talk to you later.
All right, see you guys later. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.